Am I gonna get through the line and give everybody the quickest experience possible, or am I gonna give everybody my undivided attention? So we've tried multiple different ways of selling microgreens at the farmer's market. The first one was pre-packaging microgreens and taking them out and selling them by the container. The second was taking full trays of microgreens out to the market and then harvesting the greens, which would be packaged in the container at the market and then sold to the customer. The new way, and the way that we've found to be most successful, is selling microgreens in individual pots. So the good thing about selling prepackaged microgreens at the farmer's market is they're already cut, so you don't have to stand there, harvest the greens, try and talk to a bunch of people. You know, they come up to the table, they ask you for the variety they want, you hand it to them, good to go. The cons, on the other hand, are, you know, you've already put your time into harvesting the microgreens, you package the microgreens, you put a label on them. So if you don't sell all the microgreens that you brought out there, now you have to bring them back to the farm and figure out who you're going to sell them to. Another issue is that, you know, these microgreens have to be stored in a refrigerated bag. So if you have them in a refrigerated bag and you have them behind the table, people are going to walk by, they're going to notice that you don't have anything on your table, and that's going to deter them from coming up and talking to you. Another thing is you can't put the greens on display on the table because they have to be refrigerated. If the market starts and it runs from 8 to 12, by about 9 o'clock, the sun's out in full. And if you have your microgreens out on the table, the sun's going to come down. It's going to shine through the containers and it's going to kill your microgreens within a couple of hours. So it just makes it harder to showcase your product. And we just decided personally that that's not the best way for us to try and sell our microgreens out there. So another way that we've tried selling microgreens at the farmer's market is taking full trays out and harvesting them to order. Now this can be really great for a lot of reasons. Number one, you're bringing the tray out, it's staying alive, it's in the sun. As long as it's watered pretty well, it's going to stay alive and do really well throughout the market. Number two, you're being able to harvest the greens to order, so you're cutting back on wasted time, wasted materials, and wasted greens. The only cons that we've personally noticed is we typically have multiple people that show up at the table at one time. So if you have multiple people that are trying to carry on conversations about different things, you're not going to necessarily be able to give them your full undivided attention. And it just makes things a lot tougher. Like you come down to the decision of, you know, am I going to get through the line and give everybody the quickest experience possible? Or am I going to give everybody my undivided attention, which is going to make other people that may be in line and may be in a hurry walk away from the table. So ultimately you could end up losing sales. So the most efficient way that we found that we can sell our microgreens at the farmer's market is growing them in these individual pots. So instead of growing the microgreens on one full 10-20 tray, we can actually fit 15 of these individual pots. That's going to give us 15 units of microgreens to be able to sell per tray. So the pros of this method are that, you know, your microgreens are already growing. You don't have to worry about spending your time harvesting. You don't have to worry about packaging, any of those expenses. And it's going to be a win for the customer as well, because they're now going to be able to take their product back to the house and it's not harvested yet, so it's still growing. So they might decide that they don't want to harvest for another 3 or 4 days. The microgreens being able to continue to grow, they're staying at their freshest state. So you're giving the customer the ability to harvest the product as they want to use it, instead of giving them a container that's going to have an expiration date. And on top of that, instead of having to stand there and try and cut the greens while trying to interact with 5 people at a time, it makes it super easy. Now I'm able to just kind of stand back, give customers my full undivided attention, and make sure that I'm able to have good conversations and that their expectations are met with my products. So these are the methods that we've tried. The pot technique is our personal favorite, but we know there's lots of ways to sell microgreens at the farmer's market. If you have any type of unique method for how you're displaying your microgreens at the farmer's market, please let us know in the comments below. We're always trying to improve our services, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.